On February 26, 2021, in Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood, Cheretha Morrison, a 38-year-old mother who was 4 months pregnant, was supposed to drop her young daughter off at school and meet her adult son later that day. She would never make that appointment. 3 days later, her silver Porsche Cayenne was found abandoned more than 20 miles away, with $3,500 in cash left untouched on the passenger seat. A witness reported seeing a tall man park the car in a tow-away zone and walk away, just minutes away from a restaurant owned by the wife of Cheretha's married boyfriend. But the most haunting clue would come from Cheretha's 4-year-old daughter, who developed an intense fear of car trunks after her mother's disappearance, begging adults not to put her inside one. What did this young child witness on that February morning? Hello strangers, welcome back to the Strange Bar and Grill. I'm your host, JP. This is the story of Cheretha Morrison's disappearance, a mystery that exposes how family loyalty, hidden lifestyles, and complex relationships can both obscure and illuminate the search for truth. During the Roma pandemic, 38-year-old Cheretha Morrison had found her rhythm. Despite the world's isolation, she had created a warm, loving home environment with her young daughter Gloria. She was almost 4 months pregnant with another child. She loved her family, and it showed by the way she treated them. She was very close to her nieces. They would become a constant presence in her children's lives, sharing meals, watching movies, and creating the kind of memories that would later haunt those left behind. Her niece Rashonda, through marriage, was quoted as saying,
So I used to go over my Auntie Sherea's house on 59th and Troop. It went from every other day, every couple days, to every day. So every day up until she was missing. During that little time, we formed a way better bond. Like I said, we used to stay in the house, cook all the time. She'd go out about 6 o'clock, go to the grocery store, get us some breakfast to make when we wake up. Just homebodies. Like the whole COVID, we were homebodies. She didn't do much. Everywhere she went, I went, and we didn't do nothing. Like it was just always family house, home. It wasn't really much. So that's why I just feel like all of this that's happening, it had to be somebody close, because I know I was one of the closest people to her just days before she went missing.
But beneath this cozy domestic scene, Cheretha's life held complications that may have contributed to her disappearance. She was involved with a married man named Glenn, who had a violent past, including a 20-year sentence for second-degree murder in 2004. He was the father of her young daughter and possibly her unborn child. Their relationship had grown increasingly volatile. On the surface, Cheretha worked in the home healthcare industry, caring for clients throughout Chicago. But her lifestyle, multiple apartments, luxury vehicles, and substantial cash reserves hinted at additional sources of income that would later complicate the investigation into her disappearance. She held an auctions license and was known to purchase used cars, including multiple Porsches. Her nieces would later reveal that she maintained connections with what they termed street guys, who helped her acquire vehicles and other assets. Some have speculated that she may have been involved in these street activities with these men, and that may have been another source of her income. Lashina, Cheretha's other niece through marriage, said,
She had her auctions license. From what I know, she was able to go on auctions and purchase used cars. From my understanding, that's what she did for many of her cars. She had multiple. Basically, she was like a street girl. But me and Zakoria, we're young, so it's still stuff that she does hide from us. But we have our own. We put it together. She was a street girl, like she messed with street guys, and that's how she was plugged for the cars and plugged for everything.
In the months before her disappearance, Cheretha's social media accounts had become entangled in alleged scamming activities. According to family members, she had allowed someone else to use her social media accounts for recruitment purposes, leading to threats and confrontations. She had reportedly tried to end this arrangement, but tensions remained. Now, it wasn't stated who that person could be, but as you continue on, you will have your suspicions on who that person was. On February 25th, the night before she vanished, Cheretha was making plans for a fresh start. She talked about moving to Milwaukee, away from the mounting tensions in Chicago. That same night, she had a heated argument with an unknown someone on the phone, the last known official conversation anyone would have with her. But there is someone said they talked to her the day she went missing, but we'll get to that. What happened the next morning remains disputed as surveillance footage and eyewitnesses could not be found. Some say Cheretha dropped Gloria off at Earl Elementary School. Others insist she never actually made it there at all, and an unknown person actually dropped Glo off at school. What's certain is that by the end of that day, when Gloria wasn't picked up from school, everyone knew something was terribly wrong. Her adult son knew something was wrong when Cheretha never met up with him like she had planned that day. He called her all day, and his calls went straight to voicemail. He decided to go to Cheretha's home and found her front door wide open with no sign of Cheretha. Alarmed, he would call family members, and they would eventually call police to report her missing. 3 days later, Cheretha's silver Porsche Cayenne was found in Chicago's Rogers Park neighborhood, over 20 miles from her home. Inside was approximately $3,500 in cash and a crowbar. A witness reported seeing a tall man in his late 20s or early 30s parking the car in a tow zone and walking away. And now a thing to note here, Cheretha's vehicle belonged to Glenn Miles. It was in her name, but he actually purchased the vehicle, and this is according to Glenn's wife. The location was significant. It was just minutes from a restaurant owned by Glenn's wife, a woman who allegedly had a hostile relationship with Cheretha after discovering their affair. The car's placement in a tow zone suggested to many that it was deliberately staged. Glenn's wife hated Cheretha for having an affair with her husband. She accused Cheretha of harassing her family and stated that she had to press charges on her, but no charges could be found relating to Cheretha or Glenn or his wife. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. Glenn's wife also stated she doesn't believe Cheretha is missing and that it's all just a big hoax and she's just out and about with some man pretending to be missing. Obviously, that's not true because it's 2025 and she went missing in 2021. She would have turned up by now, and she was 4 months pregnant. In the days following her disappearance, Cheretha's digital footprint began to vanish. Her 2 cell phones disappeared. Her social media accounts were mysteriously deactivated. More disturbing, though, her bank accounts showed suspicious activity, with money being transferred and withdrawn even after she vanished. The money in Cheretha's accounts had come from various sources. Beyond her work in home healthcare, she maintained multiple bank accounts, including one shared with another family member that was allegedly used to keep certain funds separate. 6 months before her disappearance, Cheretha was allegedly approved for a PPP loan for several $1,000s, and just weeks later, her niece Larenita was approved for a PPP loan. Could she be Cheretha's unknown business associate? It's possible. The $3,500 in cash found in her abandoned car was described by family as pocket money, a small fraction of her total assets. Her Facebook account told an equally disturbing story. First, it was deactivated. Then it mysteriously reappeared with posts about searching for Cheretha, only to vanish again completely. Meanwhile, her bank accounts showed unexplained activity, with her niece Larry's boyfriend allegedly caught on video making unauthorized withdrawals. As some family members bought luxury items, got BBLs, and took unexpected vacations, others questioned where this sudden wealth had come from. Family members of Cheretha also stated that had Cheretha Morrison's phone in hand after she disappeared. They believed she was the one manipulating her social media accounts as well. When the family finally received the phone had been wiped clean. And I mean everything, from call log history, text messages, email accounts, social media accounts, all of her notes, everything had been wiped clean. And also, just a note here, also stated that she was the last person to actually talk to Cheretha at 10 a.m. on the day she went missing. Now, I'm not sure the topic of that conversation, but it does sound a little suspicious, doesn't it? Lashina, Cheretha's niece, said her niece's boyfriend was caught on video accessing her bank account.
People were taking money out her bank account while she's disappeared, is what I was told, like, in the beginning. They were transferring money through phones, when I thought that was illegal, to touch missing person's money. Magically, when Sherea goes missing, people getting BBLs and going on vacations they never been on and getting their family body done. I feel like the money that was in the car was just money, just hand money, pocket money. They wanted the real money in their account, in her bank. She kept money in her bank account, and she also, another person in the family, has an account that Sherea would use as well. So I think that some of her money was left to the person who account she was using. But, they were sharing, like she was sending her money to do certain stuff for her. But she was just using that account to keep some money separate in a separate place.
Her sister and her niece. Her niece is also one of the people that they have been looking at as well because of the stuff that she was doing leading up to the disappearance and after the disappearance. Just even now, to this day, the stuff that she does. And so it's just a lot of more stuff is coming out about what happened, and the police are supposed to have video evidence of her niece's boyfriend accessing her bank accounts, and it's just so much.
But perhaps the most chilling evidence comes from 4-year-old Gloria. After her mother's disappearance, she developed an intense fear of cars and trunks, begging adults, "Don't put me in the trunk." Her behavior suggested she may have witnessed something traumatic the day her mother vanished. It's reported she stated she had witnessed the highly suspicious niece at the scene that day. But what about the investigation? You haven't heard me mention anything about a search or the police investigation. Well, there's a reason for that. The investigation has been hampered by a deep divide between Cheretha's biological family and her family by marriage.
I'm gonna be honest with you because I don't know if nobody else told you, but that it's kind of like it's a real divide between the family because the whole Milwaukee side of the family, that's my real family, which is Cheretha family by marriage. So the people that you see on the news that talk about her, that's her real family, her side. That's her sister and her sister kids.
There hasn't been a huge search effort by Cheretha's family. Also, 7 different detectives have cycled throughout this case. While her family by marriage actively cooperates with police, her biological family has remained largely silent, creating a wall of obstacles for investigators. Cheretha's niece Lashina stated,
Their main focus is we don't talk to the police, but they keep talking about they got a detective, but you don't talk to the police. The two sides is her mom's side and our side. I am her niece from a previous marriage. My dad's sister has her daughters, and that's not blood. Like, that's what I'm saying. How do y'all looking for Sherea, but you gave her daughter not to her dad, to her brother's dad, sister? That's not adding up to me.
So let's talk about Cheretha's biological family for a second. Zakoria, Cheretha's niece, feels like part of the reason the investigation has hit a wall is because police don't have cooperation from everyone in Cheretha's family. So they're not going to go the extra mile to try to get people to talk.
Since the beginning, it's probably been 7 different detectives. So her biological family are not cooperating with the police. We have been contacting our own detectives because we have her daughter here, so we really need to know what's going on. Where is she? We reach out to the media, reach out to the detectives and all that. And so the detectives were basically like, they need biological families' cooperation. So her sister was supposed to be meeting with the detectives to provide, all the information that could help with her disappearance. But once the detective called us back, they let us know that none of the biological family was cooperating. So there's really not too much that they can do.
Today, Gloria is being raised by Cheretha's family by marriage, who are working to get her the therapy she needs while preserving hope that she might one day share what she knows about her mother's disappearance. The family suspects multiple people were involved, possibly including members of Cheretha's own biological family. The car remains in police custody. The bank accounts continue to show activity. Glenn's criminal record shows multiple arrests for violence, drugs, and weapons charges between 2015 and 2019. Despite the highly suspicious behavior from Cheretha's biological family, no one has been named as an official suspect. Unfortunately, that's all I know about this case. At this point, will it ever be solved? I truly believe if you don't continue to push for the police to solve a case, they won't put in the effort. If they sense the family just kind of doesn't care, then it gives them an excuse to not pursue justice. But maybe that was the plan all along. But what exactly happened to Cheretha? Let's discuss some possible theories about what may have happened on that fateful day. I think the first obvious theory here is the fact that she was having an affair with a married man. She had one of his children and was possibly pregnant with another. Is it possible that for whatever reason, Glenn, the possible father, didn't want another child with her? Could his wife have been vocal about his infidelities again? Maybe she gave him an ultimatum the first time about his cheating ways and he just couldn't go down this road of having another child out of wedlock. With that, let's talk about Glenn Miles some more. For starters, he received a 20-year sentence for second-degree murder back in 2004. I believe if you can kill once, then you can definitely kill twice. He also had inappropriate contact with a child, his child. According to extended family members of Cheretha Morrison, they said Cheretha confided in another family member telling this person she caught Glenn Miles, the father of her daughter, in the tub with her child on February 25th, 2021. After Cheretha confronted Glenn, he beat her up really bad, but he was never arrested for it. Now that was the day before Cheretha went missing. Could this be the reason why she went missing? Glenn didn't want that information getting out to the public, or is there more to this? Who was the mysterious family member that stated Glenn had inappropriate contact with their child? Could this be a play to throw them off their scent? Also, this happened the day before she went missing. Was this that heated phone call she had with an unknown person? Or did she tell this person on the morning she went missing at 10 a.m.? Or did this never happen? What do you think? Also, we can't totally rule out the wife's possible involvement here. Could she have helped to get rid of Cheretha? She seemed to really dislike her because of her husband's affair. But let's look into the flip side of this. Again, we're looking at the possibility of Glenn being involved in this crime somehow. Cheretha was reportedly making plans to move to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but vanished before she could leave Chicago. Is it possible Cheretha was planning on leaving her old life behind, including Glenn? Maybe she had plans to take her children and didn't want to be in an affair with Glenn. Could this have prompted Glenn to murder her because he didn't want her to take his children? Anything's possible. Plus, her car was found close to Glenn's wife's restaurant. They could have abandoned the vehicle and walked to the restaurant. Now, theory number 3 relates to the fact that she was planning on moving to Wisconsin. It was stated previously that Cheretha was running a scam business and was sharing her social media with others to run this scam business. When she tried scaling back and cutting people off from her scams, could they have gotten enraged and did something to Cheretha? If these business associates were family, they would have known about the drama she had with Glenn. Maybe they were trying to set up the Mileses by parking the car not too far from Glenn's wife's restaurant. As soon as she went missing, everybody went in her bank account and were living it up. Or is it possible she got caught up in some sort of bad deal and someone murdered her? I mean, it's possible that one of the people she scammed decided to retaliate against her. Depending on the scams she was running, this theory is very possible because no one likes to lose out on hard-earned money. Could a burned customer have come back and killed her in retaliation of falling victim to a scam? It's possible. Now, the fourth theory, we look at Cheretha's family and her niece. Now, is it possible that Cheretha's family was somehow involved in her death and try to cover it up? It sounds like Cheretha may have been scamming with, and for some reason, whether a dispute about money or they got caught up with the wrong people, maybe she killed her and covered it up. After all, she was said to have access to her phone after she went missing, and when she returned it, the phone was wiped clean. Also, it was the last person to speak to Cheretha at 10 a.m. on the day she went missing, and that's by her admission. Cheretha's daughter also seems to remember there at the scene the morning her mom went missing. She also has an unhealthy fear of trunks after that day. According to her family through marriage, Cheretha's biological family haven't been working with police, and a lot of people are spending her money. I find that to be highly suspicious. And I just wanted to point out that it doesn't appear it's all members of Cheretha's biological family that seem guilty, just some, but it just feels really weird. And theory number 5. Now, this is the last and least possible theory, but we have to go there. Now, did Cheretha just up and leave and move away? Not likely, but let's explore this scenario. Now, I personally don't think she up and left and would just leave one of her children behind to start a new life. It seems highly unlikely. It seems like she loved money too, and I can't see someone running a hustle like that and just give it all up. Plus, she was pregnant. She would have had the baby by now and would more than likely be in a hospital to get care. Just for those reasons alone, I don't believe it, especially after all this time. It just seems highly unlikely. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section.